one of the things we know from research in psychology, as well as just practical matters in the conducting of scientific experiments, is that one of the lowest forms of evidence you could possibly invoke is eyewitness testimony. Which is odd because it's one of the highest forms of evidence in the court of law, which disturbs me greatly. So if you come from a lab to a science conference and say, this is true, we say, how do you know this? Because I saw it. Well, that's really the end of your talk, and you just leave. And then we say, come back when you have a chart recorder, or you have, just give me something that does not have to flow through your senses. Because your senses is some of the worst data-taking devices that exist. And science did not achieve maturity, modern science did not achieve maturity until we had instruments that either extended our senses or replaced them. And Galileo, it's not an accident that we have modern science, as I've described it, experiment, verification, these tactics, these methods and tools, began with Galileo and Francis Bacon, and Galileo was around 1600. That was the invention in that period of the microscope and the telescope. So it's not an accident that all this sort of came together at that time. So now we have people who are in the act of dying, and they come back from life, and they report on mental experiences. And that's intriguing. It's intriguing. But because it is in the realm of eyewitness testimony, you can establish it perhaps as a personal truth, but it will take more than that to establish it as an objective truth. And an objective truth is the kind of truths that science discovers. And it's the kind of truth that is true whether or not you believe in it, okay? It exists outside of your culture, your religion, your political affiliation. Personal truths, if I may consider that, would be, okay, Jesus is your Savior. That's your personal truth. You cannot convince someone else that Jesus is their Savior in an objective way. You have to persuade them. You have to persuade them in some cases by war, right? Look at the wars that have been fought between religions that did not agree about who was their respective saviors. Sure,
Although if I walked on water, made you unblind, created loaves and fishes out of nothing,
that would be amazing.
I think,
and we would investigate that, and we would say, "Whoa!" Yes, we would. It would be an amazing thing. And then if we cannot account for that by any other known laws of physics, and it's only happening with you, we'd wonder if you were like alien or something first, right? But no, it would be so easy to demonstrate divinity if in fact you had the power you wanted to display. But getting back to the gentleman's point, so part of this issue is, what does it mean to be dead? Okay, it used to be, did you fog a mirror that was held up in front of you while you were laying there on your bed, all right? And if you didn't fog the mirror, you were judged to be dead. They would put you in a coffin, and in some parts, it is told, there's a string that they put into the coffin as they buried you, and they put it over a tree branch and connected to a bell. If you woke up, you would pull the string, and that's where you get the term dead ringer, okay? You would pull the string, and you come rescue me because you buried a living person, okay? So, then it was you're dead because your heart stopped. Well, we know why a heart beats. It's electrochemical. So you do pa-chunk, the heart beats again. We got that one, okay? Well, is it when you're brain dead? Well, you can be brain dead, but your heart is still beating. And we can keep you alive. Are you dead yet? Well, no, because your heart's still beating. Is your brain functioning? No. Okay, I can tell you this, that if you're dead long enough so that your brain is deprived oxygen, and then we bring you back, you're not talking about seeing any lights because you're brain dead, okay? So, plus, this often happens to someone who is deathly ill to begin with, and where are they? They're in a hospital. And if they go into cardiac arrest or something critical, They take you from your hospital bed to an operating table. And what is sitting above an operating table? Lights. Bright lights, okay? And so if you say, oh, I was dead and I came back and I saw lights, maybe it's not all the cases, but it's many of the cases, okay? Now, there were skeptics who tried to do an experiment. There are people who say they left their body, and they saw, we got some of those?
Montesquieu.
So here's what when was Montesquieu?
He got rear-ended by some guy on a horse, fell off, flew up into the air, looked down at himself in agony, watched his wife come
they had
over.
rear-end collisions in the era of horses?
Montaigne, sorry, Montaigne, not
Still,
Montesquieu.
they had rear-end collisions in the era of
Well,
horses?
you ride a horse where the guy behind you is riding too fast. It's like a cab situation.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay. Okay. So, I didn't know that.
Well, I love stopping you mid-sentence.
Rear-end collision with the horses. Where was I? So there was an experiment. So there's some descriptions that are part of this near-death experience literature where they come above and they see themselves down there on the bed.
Because I could see my body from above. And that's where I realized the color of my leg, which was horrible. And I didn't even recognize myself.
When you were seeing this, did you think it was strange?
No. I just took a look and I was much more interested by what was happening.
Okay? So what they decided to do is for people who are about to die, they would write a message facing upwards to the ceiling above the bed and suspend it there. So if a person goes above their bed and looks down, they'd be able to read the message. So when they rejoin their body, they should then tell us what message they saw. That's never happened. It's just, no. That's a no. Now, I have a cousin who, when her father died, was alone with him in the room, and he's in an open casket. And she's otherwise completely rational, okay? I'm not saying this is a crazy person. She's a real estate agent, okay?
Speaks for itself.
Okay. Among other okay. So she's in there. She tells me of a conversation she had with her dead father. And I said, was it in your mind? No, he sat up and spoke to her. I said, what was the conversation? And she said, well, he said, don't worry about him, he's in a better place, this sort of thing. So, this is her eyewitness testimony. I'm not going to say it's wrong, I'm just saying it's not scientifically useful. That's all I'm really saying here, okay? I told her, next time this happens, ask these questions and not those questions, okay? Don't say, are you happy? No, say, are you wearing clothes? Where are you? Where did you get your clothes? What temperature is it? Just ask questions. Like, this is an amazing scientific experiment you could be performing. So that's my lesson to all of you, that if you find yourself in that situation, okay? Because if a dead person sits up and starts talking to me, oh my gosh, my iPhone is coming out, I'm getting chart recorders, I'm gonna be all up in that as an experiment.
So I want to hear about your thoughts on near-life-death experience. A lot of people have, in surgery, said that, middle of the surgery they could come out and see what's happening, see the conversation, what the doctor is doing. So just a thought, do people really die at the time, or they reach some moksha or heaven, come back?
Near death? You mean near death?
Yes,
you
near
said
death.
Near life, so I was wondering what.
Yeah. So when I saw you, I saw near-death experience.
Okay.
There's near-death experiences where, let's say, someone is about to die. Very often, we've read these accounts. Like Dr. Sanjay Gupta's book talks about these, like cheating death. In which case, they then have these experiences where they may see lights or what have you. So I just want to distinguish that because they're two different cases.
That's what I want to know.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, when we say death, the definition of death on one level is you lost your body. That's what death is. So, let's not go into other areas, they'll get you into very fuzzy places. About near-death experience, it's… what is being referred to as meditation? We have a certain type of meditation called shunya. That means shunya literally translates as emptiness. That's not the right translation, but there's no appropriate word in English. So it's emptiness or nothingness. So if you settle down into shunya meditation, it's not near death, it's actually death, but conscious death. Suppose you're riding a bicycle, you are a new rider with little balance, so you will go like this. Some other kid is riding, he'll leave his hands free and whistle and look here, look there and ride and do all kinds of things, stand up on the handlebar and turn around, jump, all this. Why? It's a certain mastery, certain balance and mastery. Now, you can jump off the cycle and again jump back and do all these things. Similarly with your body, if you have a certain amount of mastery, you can jump off and jump back quite effortlessly. Now it is happening accidentally because of some medication, or for many people during 60s, 70s, the LSD time, there were a whole lot of people talking about this thing, sir, it's your time. It was your time.
Oh, okay. Metaphorically.
So, a whole lot of people talking about this, and it really happened to them. It's not that they were imagining things, it actually happened to many of them. But it was also because it was hallucinatory. Nobody knows whether it's this or that. There's no way to for sure say it actually happened to them or not. But I've met many people of those times who genuinely experienced things with which their lives got transformed in many different ways. In a crazy way, but suddenly everything about them changed simply because somewhere they perceived this… you can yo-yo this body a little bit if you wish, it's not a permanent thing. Just that little awareness changed the way they perceive life and they behave and they do things in their life. So this near-death, I'm not really looked at any of the thing, but some people have told me, some popular books, they were saying they see angels and there's a tunnel going. See, one thing is, you must understand, when somebody is going on the surgery table, the doctors may be confident, the patient always fears that he may die. Hello? Doctors may be confident, they know the case, they know what they're doing. 99% of the time, they're confident what they're doing. But the patient, once he closes his eyes and hands over his life to somebody, he always fears what will happen. So every small thing he thinks is death. It happens to people. If you put a gun to somebody's head and just shoot and miss them or it's a blank, they almost died. Near-death experience, they'll blank out for some time and then they come back. They really think they went away and they came back. And they saw the scene also from the top, because that's because of the Hollywood. So, human mind is capable of creating many dimensions of experiences. It need not be construed as death, it's life. First of all, anyway, I'm coming out with a book on death, an inside story. I'm doing this for 6.5 years, it's not complete yet.
Okay.
Hope in the next year or so I will come out with this. Why I'm saying this is, in reality, there is no such thing as death. It's life, life and life alone, moving from one dimension to another, another dimension to another. So if I lose one dimension, it looks like that is dead. Right now, it is a medical fact that they say approximately every fortnight, you're losing 7 kilograms of your existing body and something new has come in 1 fortnight. Whatever your weight, you must just calculate in how many fortnights you're completely lost. Everything that you have in your body is being lost continuously and something else is coming in. but you don't experience as that every meal and every day you empty your bowels, you must experience it as near death. But that doesn't happen to you. But this happens to you because there is some disengagement in your experience, particularly because of anesthetic impact. The disengagement with various faculties that you're normally used to suddenly makes you feel you're dead. Nobody died. It's a completely wrong perception. Yes, every moment of your life, if you are willing, if you are not entangled with situations and your own thoughts and emotions, there are many things you can perceive right here. Right here, sitting here, you can look at your life from there, okay? This is not near death, this is life. But because, as I said, loss of faculties works out well for a lot of people, unfortunately. It's not a good thing. This happened. A man met a close friend of his that he knew very well when they were in the university together, after 25 years break. So he invited home for dinner, he went, and being an Indian household, the wife was serving and these two men were eating. And every time he wanted to ask for something from his wife, he said, my honey, my sweetie pie, my boo-boo-boo, my coco-coo, my bulbul, and whatever else, your Tamil, so my tangam and my chuchu, all those things. So after the dinner was over, the friend was leaving and he said, you are having an amazing life, aren't you? I'm married with my wife for 15 years, we can't even look at each other's face. The way, the endearments you're showering upon your wife is truly fantastic. I said, what are you talking about? He said, you called her bulbul, you called her tangam, you called her this. I said, oh man, I forgot her name 7 years ago. Loss of faculties, unfortunately, work very well for a lot of people because they're suffering their faculties. The greatest faculties that have come to us after millions of years of evolution, unfortunately we suffer because we have not read the user's manual.